Hello and welcome to Day One Patch Podcast, episode 282.
I thought you were going to say episode 2 from the bunker or something.
It is technically episode 2 from the bunker. That's Matt Lawrence speaking. I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. How you doing, Matt? How you holding up?
Doing all right. I'm noticing that I'm starting to go a little loony. I'm starting to go a little loony. I'm starting to lose track of the days. I'm also starting to lose track of time as a general concept. So there's times now where I've been wide awake just watching TV, thinking it's maybe because I'm a bit of a night owl. So I'm thinking like, oh, it's 1 or 2 a.m. and it's like 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning.
Oh,
it's
wow.
Like, whoa, what the hell? Like, it's just all gone. It's all gone on me.
Yeah.
It's weird. I think it's because I haven't left the home, and so I'm not really seeing like the day-night cycle too much. And I've only left the home for essentials, so I'm like scared to see other people. It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird out there.
I'm still working like Monday through Thursday, but it's even then time still feels irrelevant. It's like just the structure of the week seems irrelevant.
So that's the weird thing. So like I'm still able to work fully. Like I've always worked from home.
Mm-hmm.
My job's all digital. My job's online. Literally, it's to make websites and stuff, like stuff related to that. So I'm quite literally totally untouched pretty much by this in terms of like what I can and can't do work-wise. But it's just a matter of I just like work these weird hours now because I just don't know. I don't ever know what time it is. I think yesterday I tuned into, so I've started The Simpsons actually, and I booted up a couple episodes, and I remember I wasn't digging the first season, so you guys gave me a curated list. So I watched a couple episodes over the past couple of days, and then yesterday I went to go boot up another one, like I'd watched 1 or 2, and I went to go boot up another one, not realizing that it was 5 in the morning.
Oh my god!
And it's weird because I'm not. I think it might be because I'm sitting so much, maybe, and so I never realize like what. There's no structure to my day, other than like I know at one point during the day I'm going to be working, at another point I'm probably going to be playing a video game or watching TV, and then another point of the day I'm going to be watching or I'm going to be going to sleep. So those like 4 things, because sometimes there's a little different. Like maybe I have to get groceries that day, so then you panic the whole afternoon. But
right.
But short of those, 3-4 things I have to do, as long as they get done in a 24-hour period, the actual day-night cycle is irrelevant, which is really weird.
It must be weird. They do these like tests on people every now and then, where they put you in a room basically with no sunlight whatsoever, and like your body kind of loses track of time. It's really, really strange how much we rely on the sun.
It's certainly strange because like I don't have like where I sleep I have like blackout curtains because I'm like my window is facing, I guess it'd be east, like window's facing east, so I would have like sun barreling in, so I have blackout curtains, and then my office is in a basement, so then I'm not really working with any light short of grabbing some food or something like that and seeing like the outside through windows. I don't really see the day or night. It's really weird, man.
Mm-hmm. Man, if I had a bunch of money, you know what I would want to do is like in my basement in my house, I'd want to make fake windows and have like projectors out there projecting like an outside scenery onto a wall. So it almost looks like you're looking through a window.
Remember those like Samsung windows from CES years ago? I think it was the Samsung windows years ago. It was just like a concept.
Yeah.
And they had like, something you can display, like it'll record what your property looks like. And if you are in the middle of winter and you're like, man, I really wish it was summer, you don't have to just pull up some random summer scene. You could just pull up your yard in summer.
Right.
I mean, that's the dream for like a bunker, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I'm starting to see more bunker videos too, which is a little scary. I'm starting to see those on YouTube. I'm starting to see those on Facebook as well.
I mean, if I was super rich, I would have one for sure, I think.
But it's just a little bit, it is definitely almost like it literally is a sign of the times where when I'm starting to just see these bunker videos without me having originally looked them up, It's
Oh
probably
yeah,
because
which
of
is
like
popular.
because they're just popular because people are like, man, I kind of want to hide out from this type of stuff.
Yeah. All right. So some of our top stories today include The Last of Us Part 2 delayed indefinitely. Included with that announcement was also that Iron Man VR was delayed indefinitely as well. Um, Fallout 76 will be free on Steam when it becomes available on Steam if you already own it on PC through the Bethesda.net client or website. Also coming to Steam is Sea of Thieves. Bethesda is canceling its E3 June showcase, obviously, but they're talking a bit about what they're going to do instead of that. And then Phil Spencer was on Podcast Unlocked on IGN. He had a lot to say, and we have a story here about the optical audio port. Now, you and I had discussed that on a earlier podcast, so we have a bit of an update on that. Other than that, Matt, what's new with you gaming-wise?
So, we actually got a pretty good stream in this week. We did a bit of SimCity, so we did a few nights of SimCity. That'd be SimCity 2013, I believe. So yeah, we've been doing that in practice for the stream, and then we had a stream as well, and so that went pretty well. I'm glad we did that. I'm glad we had the practice because I would have been stumbling around a lot more. Still stumbling a little bit, but I mean, I don't have hundreds upon hundreds of recent hours in this game. So, but yeah, so we've been doing that. We've been noticing the faults again. So for some reason, that game is super super fun, but then I think it's more so late game stuff, or maybe it's just niche stuff in that game that you and I find really annoying. So
It's like the micromanaging of everything.
The micromanaging, and a lot of it doesn't make sense. So, for example, in my place, my people were calling for an airport. They were freaking out about an airport. They wanted an airport. They wanted an airport. I'm running a culture / tourism / gambling city. So I rely on people, either they live in my place or people living outside, more so outside, to come in, be tourists and do, gamble and do the rest of it. Now, we're in a bit of a unique scenario where you are just starting a city. There's no other cities in the region, so I had to sort of challenge myself to build my own residential area. And I'm finding that the traffic is just out of control. People are moving into my city left, right, and center, and as a result, they were like, "Man, we really need more transit." Like I have streetcars, I got buses, I have whatever, and then they wanted this airport. Put this airport in. The maps aren't big, and it's huge. Like this airport is huge.
Yeah, massive.
Put this airport in. You can expand it up to four what do you call it, like landing strips, if you will? Runways. Yeah, you can do like 4 runways. And I think you can do up to 4 cargo bays. So they kept complaining about freight. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll save the room on a trade depot, and I'll put 4 of those cargo depots, and then I'll also put the four runways. I do that, and I noticed that the capacity isn't even hitting half. So I said, okay, well, it's approaching half. So what I'll do is I'll just cut the airport in half. So I'll take 2 of the runways out, but I'll leave the 4 cargo, and I'll just have the 2 run until they complain, and then I'll put another one in. They immediately start complaining about that. I keep monitoring it, but the actual capacity is, as far as I know, is really low, unless the capacity is quickly exiting. Like maybe it's like peaking, getting out, peaking, flying out, peaking, flying out. I don't know. But there's that one thing. And then another thing is just like, it's just the micromanagement in this game. There's weird like volume problems in this game where there's no way to solve them, or none that I can see. So for example, I haven't really zoned more residential for maybe an hour or so, I would say, in the game, or at least not majorly. And the amount of population is like booming. Now that's obviously because the density of the actual buildings is increasing. So instead of having individual homes, I now have actual high rises and that type of thing, which is great. But we have these issues where tons and tons and tons, like thousands of people are moving in. But the roads, there's just no way to fix. There's no way to, like, what am I going to do? Tear down the whole city to fix these roads? Like, right. There is a traffic jam. Like, there's a traffic jam that is, like, literally unprecedented. And how I try to fix this was I added a second of the largest avenue with a streetcar going toward the industrial sector. And I have a streetcar now going from my residential commercial or residential and commercial and industrial section. It goes in a loop. Then there's also a streetcar that goes down through my tourist area, which has a bunch of hotels and gambling. And then it also goes towards, or close to, my stadium, which is good. It also goes towards my 2 train stations, because we needed 2 train stations to bring people in from the region. And for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what I do to lessen the volume of people, the traffic remains the same. I've increased the density of the roads, added alternate routes, and it just, I always get to this point in this game where buildings start burning down because the fire trucks literally can't get to where they're going because they're being stopped by traffic, and I can't, there is no way for me to stop the traffic. With SimCity 4, you had the benefit of having not only like streets and roads and those type of things, but also, avenues, as we have in this game. So there's like a big like medium in between the roads. So it's like a larger road, like 2 lanes on each side kind of thing. And there's either like a median down the middle, or eventually if you raise it to the maximum, there'll be a streetcar, like an LRT kind of thing down the middle. But the weird thing is in this game, there's no highways, there's no freeways. And so you're stuck with something that just isn't that way. Whereas in SimCity 4, you have the opportunity to build these massive freeways that link your place up, all your like regions up. And like these highways are absolutely massive, and they have these huge interchanges, and that's how you really solve traffic problems of the game. And I'll kind of like end it here just so I'm not rambling, and you had the option to do one-way roads in that game. Mm-hmm. So what I did was, and tolls. So what I would do is I would have one-way roads throughout my my downtown core once things started getting a little out of control. But then what I would do is on routes that were needlessly becoming way too busy, you basically put a congestion charge on them by putting a toll booth. Then a bunch of people still take it, but a bunch of people don't. Then they take the alternate route. So what you're doing is you're forcing them to take the alternate free route. And then that way, it's split. Maybe 40% of the people that used to take the formerly free route are now taking this paid route. So now you're actually paying for the roads you just built, and you're also regulating the traffic. Like SimCity 4 just seemed to be equipped to micromanage. Right. And there were subways and stuff in that game too.
Oh, subways would be great.
Subways would be awesome. Like it's just, to me, it's so strange. Like I put this LRT in, and thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people are using this thing a day. I have like a whole bunch of cars. I have a whole bunch of buses, so like ones that do the region, one that do the city, ones that do everything. I have school buses, I have schools, everything I can think of. And there just isn't enough road space for these people. Like there's this one intersection they all get stuck on. I put alternate little roads so they can turn off earlier if they need to, and it just doesn't seem to help. And I don't know whether it's because as I improve things, the population itself actually increases, but it just seems to me like there's no reprieve at all. Like it's not like I put the new system in, there's a reprieve, and then like it fills back up because the population increases. It's literally like I put the new system in, it gets overrun immediately, having like 30 to 40 to 60 or even longer minute wait time for an LRT. Like immediately when I put it in, the day I put it in, and there's no reprieve from traffic. It's like, where are these people coming from?
One of the problems I have with it is that if you follow the grid that they lay out for you with your roads, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to fit. It's not 1-to-1 scale with real life. Because like you'll build like a little square grid and put a bunch of residential in there, and then as you increase the density, it's like just one big building is on that entire block. But that's not how cities are. There's multiple big tall buildings on one block.
Yeah, the default grid is weird. Like you almost have to, in that game, if you kind of build out your own grid, it'll try to grid line according to how you've grid lined, but it's not perfect. Like a lot of my places are definitely not perfectly laid out. You're right on that.
And even if you do the grid, it's like they have plenty of places to turn off to and find different ways around traffic, but you still get these massive congestions. Now maybe that's just a city. That's just going to happen. But then you have problems where you have fires and stuff, and it's like, well,
like you can't get the fire truck. Yeah, you can't get the fire truck to the people. Like, what are you going to do? And then all these people, these places burn down.
These are probably real city problems, actually.
The thing is, though, is I would be less upset about it because you need to sort of have problems in a game like this in order to have some gameplay, right? You need, but the thing is this game, to me, I'm still having a lot of fun, and I think we're going to end up streaming it again this week. But I certainly don't. I don't feel like I'm equipped. I feel like we're not equipped. Like the player isn't equipped to deal with it. Whereas in 4, at least I was like, okay, I need to do some urban renewal. I need to tear down this block, put in the one-way road. I need to put a freeway in here. I need to tell people not to take this road. So I'm going to put in, a toll booth here. Yeah. Or there were ways to like scam your people. Like I remember putting it so that you could put you normally start with a medium. So actually in SimCity 4 you get to choose the density of your zoning. So you would choose I would always choose a medium density industrial, and then eventually build houses and then commercial shortly after. And one way to scam your people is they need to work in the industrial. So you could one-way road toward the industrial sector and then toll that road.
Yeah.
But like that's gonna tick the people off. But that toll is still a tool you can use to alleviate traffic. Mm-hmm. And there will be some pieces of road that are just a disaster. But I remember it was only like 3 or 4 intersections in a couple of my biggest metropolises in SimCity 4. So, I don't know. I just feel like I'm ill-equipped. Maybe Cities of Tomorrow brings those tools to light. I don't have that. But
there's probably some badass SimCity players out there too who like know how to do everything, and we're just like too newbie.
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing some Let's Plays of this SimCity, because I know this SimCity was controversial, and so I wouldn't mind seeing some actual, good. Because I remember using like I remember seeing people use like the big circle, and that actually does seem to work. In my cities with circles, I have the least traffic.
Right.
So maybe that's a big piece. I don't know.
Well, I was watching that one guy who had just like looked up like how to play SimCity kind of deal. And I followed his plan exactly, and that city is doing fantastically. So there must be some method to it. Like I was making I think it was like 6,000 an hour, and I had like 500,000 simoleons saved up. Like it was just insane.
Were you noticing though? So one of the things I noticed in your city was, so there's these roads that come in from the region to your region to where you're building.
Yeah.
I noticed that you have an intersection with a not that big of a road right there. And I always thought that's a major congestion, because that's almost like you're just cutting a highway off.
What city are you talking about now? The desert one or the
test, like the one that we did the night, I guess the night or two before, where we were practicing. The one I copied on. Yeah, the one that we were practicing for the stream.
I think that's only an issue once your residents are in there. I don't think you get a lot of outside traffic. If you're building a tourist place, though, I think you see a lot of traffic. Yeah.
That game needs a blueprint tool as well.
That'd be nice.
I need to be able to draw these massive roads to know where my stuff's going to be, and then I should be able to say, like, okay, now build my blueprint.
Even just like an undo would be nice.
An undo would be awesome, yeah, and like you misclick. I mean, you don't know the width of like you don't know the exact width of something, and it doesn't, it never measures it for you. So you're like, damn, I just wasted space,
Yeah. I also downloaded SimCity on iOS and started giving that a go.
SimCity Build It?
Yeah.
I have a pretty big city if you want to start playing it.
Well, I mean, I'll have to play it more, but I wasn't too happy with the little tutorial I went through.
That game
had to wait 5 minutes for like screws. I'm like, oh my god.
And like I have a huge factory / industrial sector in that game, with a pretty big residential area actually, and it doesn't get better. Like there's a lot of waiting still.
Are you supposed to like tear down that, like when in the tutorial they just have you build a straight road and put everything on that road? And it's like, am I supposed to tear that down as I grow bigger?
I think you can move the actual buildings.
Oh, okay.
So nice. I just moved it away. And I'm zoning it how I would an actual SimCity. I don't know whether that's actually required. That's just how I organize my stuff, and it seemed to be working well until I stopped playing it. I was really into it though. I had the subscription.
Oh, holy cow!
Like it was like $2 or $3 or something, but it gave you like some free stuff. But I only had it for a month or two, and then I was like, okay, done with this.
I've also been playing Doom. I'm getting pretty close, I think, to finishing that up. That's super fun.
Heck yeah.
And
you found your way to the end.
Yeah. And other than that, I've just been fiddling around with a few things. I've been playing Lego Star Wars for a bit. Just kind of looking for stuff to, waste time.
You would you'd be well on that. You'd be well on your way in your Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah.
I have a major problem with my Animal Crossing.
What's happening?
The shop, I've opened the shop up, and the shop is closed at 10. And I never play before 10. So I've literally never
it's real
seen
time?
Yeah, oh yeah. So I've never seen the inside of my shop.
Jesus.
And so once they closed the 24-hour shop that was in the tent and built the actual shop, I haven't been able to buy anything. I've been selling stuff at a 20% discount, so I'm being paid 20% less.
My God.
It's a disaster. Like it's and I keep forgetting to play it or I fall asleep. So my Animal Crossing, like people are building these extravagant villages that I'm watching, and I can't. That's it. Like mine sucks. It's just horrible.
All right. That's what happened to the stories, I guess.
Well, I guess we should also mention we're back into the 76 train.
I will be tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. You're still downloading, but we're starting to jump back into that 76, trying to get some atoms and try to get less rusty at it.
Yeah.
In anticipation for Wastelanders.
Yeah.
So.
Which is coming out in a couple weeks here?
Something like that, yeah, soon. I forget when it was delayed to, but it was delayed a week past its original, so.
Yeah. So hopefully, I'm hoping that's good, because that'll give us something all to kind of play for a bit there, you know?
Yeah.
That'd be nice. At least the four of us. We're the only ones who have it. So.
Yeah.
Oh, and me and Adriano bought Borderlands 3.
Oh, geez.
And we bought like the Super Deluxe Edition. So we get the season pass and all that stuff.
You guys are going to take a long time to beat that.
Probably. All right, let's hop into our first story this week. Bit of a sad news. Last of Us Part 2 delayed indefinitely, and no new release date has been set. This comes to us from IGN. So it was originally planned... So firstly, it was originally announced coming out February 22nd. Now, we're far past that already. Would have been amazing if we already had some Last of Us. It was delayed until May 29th. And then just recently, just a few days ago, they announced that it's been delayed again, but this time indefinitely. So, there's a couple theories on this. Now, they also delayed Iron Man VR. A lot of games are getting delayed right now. But I saw someone on Twitter saying that because The Last of Us is about an outbreak and an infection and like a disease, that it might be a bit of a insensitive time to release a game like that. Although, it's not the focus of the game, though. You know, so, I don't know.
Well, it's also the second one. So, I mean, it's very possible that is a thing. It's very also possible that they touch on it a lot in the actual game, and so maybe they think that's insensitive. Like, the last game, it certainly it certainly touched on it in the beginning.
Yeah.
A lot. But then it kind of faded away, and it became less of a focus and more of it's just like, this is the reality of the world. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think now with 2, it's possible that they talk about it a lot, and maybe they're trying to avoid that. I actually am, totally theorizing, but I theorize that it wasn't ready, and this is like a breath of fresh air for them. They've already delayed it once, or more, right? Or have they delayed it just more than once or just once?
This would be the second delay.
This will be the second. Okay, so they delayed it once prior to this delay, and this is the second delay. And since it's indefinite, like I kind of get the impression that they weren't ready. Now, it's totally possible that they weren't set up for work from home, and so they weren't able to do their last testing and stuff. But if that were the case, you would think that they would be getting there at this point, and that they would then push it back by a month. Because they were able to work in the office not that long ago, and so they should be, near gold. Mm-hmm. But the fact that it's indefinite, I theorize it was because they weren't done. They weren't ready for it. And this is exactly why. Now, I could be totally, like, I'm not saying this with any sort of direct evidence. That's just my theory.
I think I would be more open to that theory if a bunch of other games weren't also delayed during this time period. Like, I think Iron Man VR is even indefinite as well. So...
The VR, though, the VR makes sense. Because how do you test VR? You're not going to send every developer home with a VR set.
No.
That makes more sense. Something like The Last of Us, though, hypothetically, you'd be able to code wherever the heck you are. Right? You'd be able to test... Now, again, they might not have the infrastructure for that, but you would think they would set it up. Maybe they've opted out. Maybe they said they're just going to wait this out for however many months this
Well, the thing
pandemic
is
is ravaging. But
they're not bringing their work computers home. That'd be a bit insane. And so I
I
think
don't,
a lot
I
of
don't
these.
think that's that insane. If you think about it, if you ask the people to like take your maybe they have laptops, so take your laptops home. That's certainly not insane. But if they were to say
they're not working on laptops, though. I think they're working on desktops.
but why can't they work on laptops?
Because all their stuff's on the desktops.
Why can't they remote into the office? Like
Well,
other offices are doing it. They might not be set up for it, but I'm saying it is possible.
But they could be set up, but there could still be complications. Like we've even heard from our friend Aaron, who said that when you have 800 people trying to remote in, to the office, it slows down and becomes unusable.
Right.
So, I mean, there could be all sorts of complications. Now, another theory I heard is that at this point they might just release it as a launch title for PS5.
It would be weird to have it on PS4 and PS5 at the same price, right? Like, it's getting close to the PS5 launch. It'd be weird to have a game launch right on the PS5 with the PS4 version be the same price. Especially a flagship title. That'd be weird, right?
I think they'd be the same price.
No, that's what I mean. That would be the weird part about it. Is if they released it now, like ideally they would release it now, then have it full retail on PS5, and then have the PS4 version be $20 cheaper by the time PS5 came out.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But like if they release it together, you might be right where they may have wanted to. So they could have had trouble with their work from home. Absolutely, could have had some issues with that, and then they could have said, okay, we're having issues with this. Let's delay by 2 months. But then they're like, wait, now we're getting close to the PS5 launch. So now what do we do? Yeah. So then it could have been like, okay, cut this out. We're doing the PS5 version. That could have been like it absolutely could have been a business decision like that. That's why I'm saying I'm just speculating.
The only thing I don't know about that theory just is that October, November is still pretty far away. To delay it that long, it seems a bit too much.
They could honestly just be not. That studio could just not want to push through the pandemic. Like it's possible that they were just like, let's just take her easy.
Right.
That's very possible. I don't know, because they'd be in crunch right now, right? I guess.
Yeah, and I think like some games like Doom and Animal Crossing and stuff, that I'm sure they've probably had more sales because everyone's at home. But The Last of Us, they might want more of a celebration around it and everyone to be healthy and outside. You know what I mean? I'm not sure, but it could be a marketing decision.
Do you think we're gonna get to that point though by November?
I mean, I'm not an expert, so I don't.
Talking as a non-medical host of a video game podcast. Just reading the news and seeing like our local government gave out some numbers today.
Right. From what I've heard and read, they're saying like life won't return to absolute normalcy. Now this is like completely how it was before, right?
Yeah.
For like 18 months to 2 years.
To 2 years.
Yeah. That's like I think that's worst case scenario. All right. And that again, that's like completely returning where we can completely feel safe to go outside and you're not going to get coronavirus. Right?
Yes.
However, now Marvel just announced their entire slate of Phase 4 movies starting in November. So they're banking on November being the date when people can actually go into theaters again.
Unless they're just going to do Disney Plus.
I can't see them doing that for something as big as like the Black Widow movie.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
So now, obviously, Marvel is not a medical expert either, but for them to be announcing that it's going to be November might mean they're feeling more confident from what they know, or I'm not sure what that means.
Right, yeah.
So that'd be around the time the consoles launch. So there you go.
I think the only way things are going to go back to normal, personally, and not speaking about numbers or anything like that, I think the only way things are going to go back to normal, or at least be to the point where things can open up as they wish, like the restrictions are lifted, on people and on businesses, is I think we need a vaccination.
Oh yeah.
Myself.
Yep.
And if this vaccination that's in trial right now fails, then it's going to be 2 years. I think that's probably why they mentioned 2 years. Because they have one in there. Typically, it takes 12 months to 18 months after human trials. Human trials have begun recently. So, 1 year... once the vaccination is out there, it's it's over. Like, people are going to be like, okay, I'm going outside again.
Right.
like, who cares?
But you can also naturally immunize yourself.
They don't know whether you can get it again, though. That those results are inconclusive right now.
Yes, but there are studies that say both.
But that's not good. Like if I got sick right now with COVID and I got rid of it naturally, I get better. I'm one of the lucky ones. I get better. That's fine. I now know, I go for a test. I now no longer have it. That's great. I'm not going to be running out to the hospital and saying I can work without PPE. Let me help you.
Right.
There's no way.
But let's say you do become immunized from it.
Yeah.
Right. At that point, it's just a matter of time before this washes over the country.
Yes, if you become immune naturally, yes. And if you do.
You just have to do your best to minimize the amount of deaths, minimize the amount of exposure. And that number the government gave was like if we did nothing. So the number that they gave if we did something was a lot smaller.
Yeah, so
what we're doing now, they said, was a lot smaller.
Yeah, they said so the Ontario government, which is where we live, the Ontario government released a number today that said if we do nothing, like no medical stuff, no social distancing, no whatever else we're doing, if we were to just say like, wow, there's a virus going around, let's let it go, who cares? And we just continued life. We're looking at, just in Ontario, we're in Canada, we're looking at 100,000 deaths modeled. And I mean, that's not good. Because there's more than Ontario in Canada, and Canada has a small population based on its land mass. So, like, damn, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a hell of a lot.
But they said with what we're doing now, they modeled 3,000 to 15,000.
3,000 to 15,000.
Which is still a lot, and it's still awful.
It's bad. It's real bad.
But I don't think they said when this is going to be over, right? Oh, they said the 18 to 24 months.
Well, I didn't hear that, but I was just looking at the curve, and they were showing like a flattened out curve.
Yeah.
With their and so they had the worst case one, which is like ridiculous. But they said, I believe, without having it in front of me, so please go check it out if you're interested. But for Ontario, I think they said that the middle-late of the month, is when the the curve, like the flattened out curve, should peak and then start going down. Now, God knows how long it takes to decrease, but there was a little, they modeled until April 30th-ish, I believe, and it showed the curve had decreased for at least a few days.
Yeah, but April's going to be rough, though.
April's going to be rough, but I'm glad that the system we have in place seems to be doing something, and something substantial, not like, well, we saved 400 people, which would be great, I'm sure. But this is like, wow, we're saving, we're saving 97,000 people potentially. Like, damn.
And it sounds like Italy is a bit over the curve now, or at least at the top of the curve.
I haven't actually seen numbers last few days due to depression of seeing them. So I just stopped looking, to be honest.
Actually, I would recommend downloading the Canada COVID-19 app. It's really nice. It's seriously a nice app. I thought you were
gonna word it like a self plug, but our sponsor today,
yes, the COVID-19 app. Yeah.
I mean, that's a way to get it out there, but
all right, let's get back to games.
COVID-19 in games.
Well, here's the post-apocalyptic game, Fallout 76.
Damn it!
It's gonna be free on Steam if you already own it on PC. Coming to us from GameSpot here. Anyone who purchases Fallout 76 through Bethesda's official website before April 13th. And links their Steam and Bethesda accounts will get the game for free on Steam. Adams and Fallout First memberships will not transfer between the platforms, but any items purchased through the shop will be available across both Bethesda.net and Steam. Now,
interesting.
It's weird that the Fallout First membership doesn't transfer over. That's kind of crappy.
This whole thing is a mess, eh? With the different launchers.
But like when you have it on PC, it's like, why isn't everything just saved on the Fallout servers? The
That's what I
Bethesda
mean.
Net
It's
servers?
almost like a console. It's almost like the launchers are becoming like consoles,
Yeah.
like
So
within the
I'm
PC
not
landscape.
sure. I don't know what that's about.
I just wouldn't switch. I might link it so that I
Just
have
claim
it.
it.
Like I
Yeah.
might just claim it, but I'm not against Bethesda Net. I don't care. Like I'm just gonna stay. I usually go as close to the source as I can.
Hmm.
I even use like Google Drive from the web app because it's as close to the actual like hard drive that I can get.
I like to try to do that as well. Yeah. Um, this offer applies only to the PC version. Xbox One and PS4 players will have to purchase the Steam version separately in order to access it, and the game does not support cross-platform play. Also, another little bonus here: from April 14th to 28th, anyone who purchases the game from Steam will also receive the Fallout Classic Collection with the original 2 games and Fallout Tactics for free. This applies to those who claim the free Steam version via their Bethesda.net account as well. I have those games. I'm not sure how I got them.
They gave them away for free.
Just randomly one day?
I think they did. I remember I did get them for free. I do actually have the disc for them as well when that trilogy came out years ago, but I do remember them being given away at some point. I don't remember what it was for.
If they remade the story of Fallout 1, that'd be interesting, and made it like the modern Fallout.
I think Bethesda doesn't want to redo anything.
Look at the success that Resident Evil's having. Those games look great. I wish I liked Resident Evil so I could actually play them.
I think their issue is that they know that it's just going to be another game. Like it's literally like you're just developing another game, short of the story being done. And your I'm sure the very initial stuff is done. Like there's no concepting and stuff like that because you've done
Bethesda
that.
themselves wouldn't do it. They like remember when they hired Obsidian for New Vegas? You would do something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they're down for that, that'd be cool. I wouldn't mind playing. You know what the problem is with 1 though. I don't know if you've ever seen 1 played through.
I've seen it, yeah.
So like 1 is one's old in that it's easy to get. You're able to like screw yourself out of beating it,
right?
Like very easily and inadvertently as well,
right?
Like you could just be like, oh, I guess that's it. You can actually make your character so dumb that he can't speak.
Oh my god!
Like if you ever watch Sips played it, like I watch him play it, and he kept having to take drugs in order to raise his intelligence enough to spot. And like he was talking to the Brotherhood of Steel at one point, and his mentats ran out, and so in the middle of his conversation, he just started going like,
oh my god!
Yeah, it's bad.
All right, another Sea of Thieves is also coming to Steam.
What the hell's going on here?
And there's a big Xbox sale on Steam right now.
What the? Like it's like a Steam renaissance. Like we all went to Epic and everything else, and then now it's like, come on back.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's causing all this.
I know Adriano said he thought that they had dirt on them. He thought that Steam had like dirt on all the other ones. Well, I'm sure. Like I don't know how serious it was, but I mean, like he mentioned that. I kind of think that they realized that there was maybe like a large amount of people that just didn't buy it.
Right.
Like it's possible that they were like, damn, like we missed out on like this X amount of the market.
I wonder if going forward people will just release it on Steam as the third party and then their own launcher.
The thing is though, is it's like I have something like Origin works, right?
Yeah.
Where I only have Origin because EA locked it down. I wouldn't just download Origin for fun. And I didn't have Uplay for a really long time until they started selling things exclusively on there. Or like I think Anno 1800, if I remember correctly, was on Uplay and Epic. And so I just went to Uplay instead. But I kept buying like Assassin's Creeds and other titles from Ubisoft, all from Steam.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's really weird to see like a platform war happening on a single platform. You know what I mean?
I think we're gonna see them break the PC up into like almost like consoles in some cases. We're going to start seeing some weird stuff like that. Like, it would be relatively easy, and like they're not they're not going to do this, but it'd be really relatively easy for them to say, okay, anyone on Steam on Fallout 76 gets put onto the Steam servers. And if you want to play with the Bethesda Net people, you have to buy the game on Bethesda Net.
Well, Microsoft seems to be really pushing this forward, that they want their games playable like everywhere almost.
Right.
Hell, I wonder if they would actually put a game on PlayStation if they weren't direct competitors, you know?
I mean, they have Minecraft.
But, I mean, that's a special case where they bought the developer.
But they could have pulled that PS4 version.
They technically own Outer Worlds too, but that came out on PS4.
Oh, I didn't know that actually. I didn't know that came out on PS4.
Yep.
That's coming to Steam too, isn't it?
If it's not coming to Steam, I think it's also coming to Switch.
Oh, that's right. It's on Switch. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're right. The Steam-assance.
The Steam-assance. We're back, baby!
I just wish they had a nicer designer on their app, because it is ugly.
Steam's really weird. Like, they announce, like, a visual overhaul, and then they just, like, sit on it for years. Like, we got a new interface coming, and then they just don't.
The visual change is just, like, the placement of the boxes on the actual app. But the app itself, like, the base app, is just gross to me. Just that weird gray background. It's just ugly. I don't like it.
It's
gross.
It's not good because it's not good. How do I describe this? It's not good because it's like Windows. Windows has a bunch of really old legacy sections of it.
I hate those.
They have the control panel. They got the new settings panel. Like, I'm sorry, guys. Take the control panel and throw it in the garbage. If you're gonna take out the control panel, take out the control panel.
Yeah.
That's honestly my opinion on that.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, like, developers would be like, that's not that easy. I get that, but even if you invisibly in the background, or when I click on a button on the new settings panel, are actually physically clicking on a button in the control panel, but the control panel is invisible, that's fine to the consumer.
Right.
Like, bandage it and then maybe, like, start patching it up. But I'm just sick of these services that are like, we're gonna slowly, like, kill off a service. And it's like 6 years down the line, and it's like, yeah, we're going to slowly kill off the service. Yeah. But they're still accepting new members. And it's like, well, this is a big service. Like, how many members are we talking about? Like, did you get 100,000 new members? Like, what is going on here? Google Play Music and YouTube Music is an example of that, where Google Play Music still has a bunch of features that YouTube Music doesn't have. Like, maybe not a bunch, but, like, for example, I guess it is a bunch. It'd be, how, like, it plays your local library? Mm-hmm. Google Play Music sort of, pioneered that, however that works. I have heard some rumblings about YouTube Music and that. I don't know whether it's happened yet, but I haven't seen it. YouTube Music certainly does not have podcasts yet Google Play Music does. Just weird stuff like that. And then Google Play Music is also really weird. Like, there's been several times where I type in our podcast or, like, my other podcast, and, like, it'll show up in the search, like when you're searching, it'll, like, trying to autofill. It'll show up there, but when you press enter, it doesn't show up in the results. But it knows it exists. So it's like, clearly Google Play Music is starting to, peter out, but it's like a peter out as in, like, multiple years. It's like, guys, like, can we just kill this app, please?
Man, Windows has a lot of that old interface popping up. Even on, like, install Windows and stuff. Mm-hmm. It brings up some old, ancient, decrepit window from somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
It's very strange.
Now, I'll say one thing to that effect, though. A lot of it is fine, because a lot of it is for a technician. Like, if you don't want to change the event viewer, if you don't want to change, that type of stuff's more acceptable. Really, like, the consumer really isn't in the event viewer or stuff like that. The consumer isn't in the disk management console. Mm-hmm. That type of stuff is more acceptable. But something like the control panel is more of a prosumer to even regular consumer, because the regular consumer could be changing their multiple displays.
Right.
And I realize that a lot of those have been moved to the new settings menu, but it's just clunky to have to move between the both. Like, control panel as a whole should be moved. Like, period. Mm-hmm. Like, control panel should be removed.
Yes.
I can't remember the name of the okay, so when I go to search something, for example, so we're recording this right now, we're recording this on Zoom. If I go to my Zoom folder and I press the start menu, I type in Zoom, it pulls up all the web results. I have to then click on a button that says folders, and then it shows me the folder for the search result.
Mm-hmm.
Like that type of stuff isn't old, but it's clunky. It's like no one's using Bing to search for this. Like, I'm sorry,
Right.
no one's using Bing, or no one went to Google search in my start menu.
Yeah.
Like, no one does that. I'm sorry, but like that is like, even though it's like a new old idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they tried to centralize search, I think, in like the window. I don't know if it did it on Windows 8, but it was around Windows 8 when companies tried to do that, where they tried to centralize things.
Right.
And like, that's an old new idea. It's like a newfangled idea that just didn't work out, and they're still sticking to it. It's like, guys, can we dump this? But Steam is doing the same thing. Like, Steam has a really nice new interface for their overlay to an extent, most of it. See, again, most of it. They have the Steam chat now, which is new, but then the Steam app. So they have Steam chat, like that's an app to chat, but then there's the Steam app too.
Yeah.
And that you could chat in there. And sometimes
Right.
I get notifications from the Steam app for chats, and sometimes I just never do. So now I might get double notifications, one from Steam chat, all from like both from Steam. Like, what the hell's going on here? This is the same crap with so their store is older, their forums are older, but yet the library is new. Like they refreshed the library, months ago.
Yeah.
It's just weird, man. It just looks bad. It looks particularly bad when they do stuff like that. I had another example in my head, but I can't think of it now. But I was gonna say Discord, but that's not right. I forget what it was now. But like, there's just multiple apps out there that do this, and I just feel like you need. Oh no, actually, I know exactly what it was. It was the whole Xbox situation. Like,
That's
okay, they
happening
have
right now.
It's happening right now. Like, I sent you guys a screenshot today.
Yeah.
So I opened up the console companion to claim my like games for gold or whatever, and then I noticed it's like, oh, group chats are moving. Click learn more. I click learn more, and learn more tells me about how they're moving it to the Windows game bar, and how I need to press like Win G to pull that up. Now Win G is really nice. I really like it. It's really great. But it's stupid that we have that app. We have the Xbox console companion, which used to be just the Xbox app. Then we got the Xbox like game bar. Okay, we got the game bar. And then now, in addition to all of that, we have some other thing. What was that other thing that Adriano had that he got you to download?
The Xbox beta app.
The Xbox beta app. Like, is that replacing the console companion? Is the Xbox beta app replacing what the Xbox app was, and then the original Xbox app became the console companion? Is like, and then the chat is like, I'm sorry to say this, but if you get chat working in Game Bar that day, you cut it out of the console companion.
And it's in the Xbox beta app as well. I think there's a chat in there.
And there's no party chat in there. Remember, you were like voicing, so you were starting a voice chat, but you weren't starting a game chat. Remember that?
Oh, there's some terminology issues there, and it was really
so there's
weird.
different terminology for different things. Like a voice chat, I think, is like what used to be called a private chat on 360. I think that's because 360 used to not have parties, used to have one-on-one private chats. So I think that like maybe that's where that like maybe voice became, but like regardless of which, it's like, guys,
There's also an Xbox accessories app.
like, you don't need all that, man.
It kind of makes sense because that's where you need to manage and update the firmware of your controller and stuff. But it's like, I kind of would like that all built into just the Xbox app.
We should have the Xbox app, okay? We should have an Xbox app, and if there's several functions, it should just have tabs.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Xbox game bar should just be an overlay.
Yeah.
From the app. It would just be like, oh, and if they want to have a transitionary thing, so if they change the UI and the chat window used to be in one spot, you leave that button there, the person clicks it and they say the same thing, but the chat's actually gone. It says this has been moved, not this will be moving.
Yeah.
If you get it working somewhere else, kill it. Move this along, please. Because it's just like, why do I have so many apps?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are they going to break up? Like, God knows. I think they said there's a new chat experience when I was in there. I think they said there's a new chat experience on phones. Is that new chat experience in the app? Because the app looks like the console companion app. Like, I'm looking on my Android phone. The app looks like the console companion app. Or are they talking about, is there another window, like Microsoft Chat app? I don't think there is, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. It's out of control.
All right. Well, we got two more stories here. So Bethesda's E3 showcase was also canceled along with E3 entirely. So we have a statement from the Vice President Pete Hines This comes to us from GameSpot. Bethesda's E3 presentation said the company is facing many challenges due to the pandemic, and as a result won't be hosting its digital showcase in June. It does note that the company will still be sharing its plans in the coming months, though it's unclear if this means a single large digital presentation will still be happening, or if the announcements will be split into individual ones. Now, I believe it's been announced that it's been split into individual announcements, right?
I would say it's going to be like tweets and stuff, yeah. Videos, maybe. Like trailers.
I would kind of like a nice, like, maybe 5-10 minute video on each, like, game. That'd be kind of cool.
I kind of get the impression that they don't have much to show. If you had a lot to show, you would, like, Bethesda, they Twitch stream. If you had a lot to show, you would just do a Twitch stream. Wouldn't you?
It's harder to, because they had to put together some sort of presentation, right? And if people are told to stay at home and not get together, it's harder to build an hour-long video. You know what I mean?
But, like, harder as in you and I could still do it, but it would be a challenge.
Sure.
Like, you don't have internet that you can upload very easily with.
Right.
And you have internet problems. And I have, good internet. I could do it. You and I could do it. And we have mismatching. The reason why I'm just laying it out is, like, we have mismatching. I use Windows, you use Mac. If you gave us a bunch of footage and like a read-up, you and I could make a presentation. We could do it. Is it going to be amazing like it is at E3? No, but I don't think anyone's expecting that.
But maybe they can make each individual one better than if they made an entire hour-long one.
Maybe. Although, do you think it's going to be a presentation, or do you think it's just going to be like, hey guys, like, sorry we couldn't be here today. Let's check out, Doom or whatever they're going to show off.
It could just be like a blog post or something in the trailer.
I get the impression that's what it's going to be. It's probably going to just talk about 76 again.
In terms of what they have to show off, they showed off a few games last year that they could expand on.
Could you imagine Starfield getting, like, not a full treatment? Like, isn't that weird?
Well, that might be an individual video that's really good. Because that, all you need is, what's his name? Howard? What's his name?
Todd Howard? Todd Howard, yeah.
You just need him. He talked for like half an hour on 76.
If he wants to record, or like if he records like a good talk like he did at the Fallout 4 conference, or at the 76 one too. If he gives like a good talk like that, and he's just alone in his house and just has a camera on him, yeah. I mean, like, we're talking about, we're still able, like, our society is still functioning to the point where you could get the man a camera.
Yeah, for sure.
You just give him a DSLR. I mean, it's Bethesda. They could give him a DSLR and be like, hey, set this up on a tripod. We'll send you a tripod. Just sit in a room and like record yourself talking with this microphone because it'll sound better.
Yeah, and then the editors will overlay like any footage that's relevant and whatnot.
Yeah. And like I don't know. It's just when a big cancellation happens during this time, I'm just always skeptical. Like I'm always like,
but
because
this isn't a cancellation because of Bethesda though. E3 got canceled, so they had a showcase planned.
Oh yeah, I know.
But then E3 went up in flames.
But I wonder if they were, and like maybe this is my cynicism because this is like the second thing I've thought was worse than it was when it comes to COVID cancellations or delays. But I just get the impression that maybe they were like, damn, like we don't have that much to show, but we're gonna show it anyway because it's E3, and then E3 gets canceled, and they're like, sweet, we're not gonna show much. You know what I mean?
We'll find out. I guess time will tell.
Unless they again, they could be hurting. They could not be equipped to work from home. Who knows?
And they're still a private company, right? Is that right?
You'd probably have to ask ZeniMax, and I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what ZeniMax's deal is.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that either.
Anyway, all right, our last story is Phil Spencer explains why the Xbox Series X doesn't have an optical audio port. This comes to us from IGN. So Phil Spencer appeared on Podcast Unlocked with Ryan McCaffrey, and they had a whole talk about it whole talk for an hour on the Xbox Series X. He gave a lot of great information. I'd recommend you checking it out. Actually, it was a really good interview. The thing I like about Phil Spencer is like he's not all marketing business speak. he'll answer a question legitimately.
Oh yeah.
And he'll say, "Oh, I just can't talk about that," and that's it. He won't try to like, "Oh, we're dealing with all these things," blah 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 blah. So I really like his kind of grounded
Approach.
talking. Yeah. So in terms of the optical audio port, he says this: "I'm going to use kind of weird terms, but the marginal cost of everything is important. So if you look at a part on a console that's maybe $1 or $2, and you say, okay, how big of a deal is that inside of a console? That's a few $100. But then you say, okay, we're going to plan to sell 100 million of these consoles. So you take $2 over 100 million. Now you're $200 million over the course of the program. So basically, they're cutting it out because not many people use it enough to justify the $200 million you would spend on putting it into that console."
I mean, that makes sense, honestly.
There was also spacing concerns that they might not be able to fit it, or they wanted to use that space for something else, or.
Now, I actually have a question about optical.
Yeah.
And you use it, which is why I'm going to ask you. So you have a sound bar.
Yeah.
And you have a TV, like a 4K TV, and then you also have multiple consoles. And you have optical hooked up to your audio system, obviously, and that optical is hooked up to your television, and then it hooks right directly into your soundbar's interface.
Correct.
Right. One question is, and I don't know whether you would know this, one question is, I remember that back in the day with Rock Band, it used to say, depending on your sound system, there might be a delay. And then it's like, if you have an optical sound, I remember there used to be like a specific thing where it's like, if you have an optical or a very specific surround sound system or something, paraphrasing from memory, that you might need to set the delay differently because like the delay to your sound might be different. Mm-hmm. Now my question is that type of thing, like the way you have it hooked up, so consoles to TV, and then TV optical out to soundbar optical in, is that to mitigate the delay? And number two is that actually just the most common way to do it? And no one was doing it the other way, even if they had optical?
That's a good question, because like you couldn't hook up your Xbox and your PS4 and your Blu-ray player optically to one sound system, right? Because usually they only have like one port, right?
Yeah.
So would you run HDMI from all those systems to the TV and then out through optical to your surround sound?
Because like the way I'm thinking of it right now is, even with my situation, I have HDMI, so I have HDMI going into mixer, and then the mixer. Or no, is it called a mixer? What's it called? Receiver. Good Lord. I have a receiver that receives all of my HDMI signals. And then there's one optical or one HDMI out, which goes to the television. And then there's a bunch of like copper out to the different speakers in surround sound. And so that receiver receives the signal in and then splits the audio and the video up. Mm-hmm. In your case, with the optical out, your TV is your receiver. So even in like a professional setting, like in a professional system, like mine's like a consumer grade professional system, if you will. So, because I'm not an audiophile, so like my receiver is like just like how your TV is acting, mm-hmm. where instead of me having a soundbar, I just have a receiver, and so everything still gets centralized to one system and then outputted. I just think that it would be weird to have, like, you would have to have multiple optical ins into a receiver and then also HDMI out. Like, it just seems messier. Like, I feel like maybe the consoles don't need the optical out and the TV should always have it. It just seems like a smarter decision, right?
Yeah, so the reason I went with optical was simply because I'm out of HDMI ports, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it has an auxiliary jack. I think it might, though. Probably does, right? But the nice thing about...
what has an optical? What might have an auxiliary jack?
The soundbar. I'm pretty sure my TV does.
More than likely. I can't remember, to be honest.
But the nice thing about the optical is it takes over volume control from the TV. Whereas before I would have to have like different remotes.
Right.
And here I would have to have a remote for the soundbar and a remote for whatever else. Or for the normal channels and inputs and stuff like that. So now I can just use the remote that came with my TV on the soundbar, and it takes care of everything else. And then everything's running to the TV.
And that's like, that makes sense because My receiver does the sound. In your case, your TV. I mean, your TV kind of does the sound, but it's like they're together. They're synonymous now. The sound system and the other thing. So like, mine's just splitting it completely. Yours is basically being like they're all together as one. Basically, when you plug in that optical.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what you need, though, is your termination point, if you will.
Yeah.
Is your TV.
I just did some quick Googling, and it sounds like everyone's saying that optical does not introduce lag because it's literally a light signal, which is traveling at the speed of light. So it's like the fastest signal you can get. They said that the lag is usually introduced through the TV itself.
That's what I was wondering, is like, obviously optical is like a fiber.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would think like the actual line itself has very little latency, but I always thought maybe the problem was that at the different ends, whether the processor that was taking that signal and processing it would take longer from light. I just wasn't sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if that has like changed nowadays,
Yeah.
One thing they did note is that the HDMI port and I believe the cable that these new consoles are shipping with will support like the latest Dolby Atmos sound and stuff like that. So
I think that was mentioned before. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so just right here, we'll have HDMI 2.1, which outputs both audio and video up to 8K with Dolby Atmos. So I mean, what more do you need than that? I mean,
the one of the things I wonder is, I wonder whether Sony is going to. I mean, this isn't really an optical question, but I wonder if Sony and Microsoft. Well, actually, I don't know if Microsoft does this, so I can't really comment on that. But I wonder if Sony is going to allow you to use like a Bluetooth audio accessory now. So I know that like I tried to use my Bluetooth and it was a Sony headset, but it wasn't a PlayStation headset wirelessly. And I think I could get sound out. I'm not sure on that, but I definitely couldn't get microphone in.
Now, Bluetooth does have some lag, at least Bluetooth 4. I think 5 is supposed to improve on that.
The thing is, though, is like you were already using Bluetooth with the speaker or with the controller.
Yeah.
So then you're already introducing that lag anyway.
Yeah. So, and I didn't actually know this. There's some headsets out there that plug into the optical port of the console that a lot of people use, or not a lot, but a decent amount use. And Phil Spencer said that they talked with the manufacturers of those headsets, and I guess their understanding.
I guess I never really thought of that because I know that Aaron uses a Turtle Beach where he has like the sound out. I never really thought of how to get the sound out to a pair of headphones minus this gen where you can just do it with the speaker.
Yeah.
I never really thought of it, I guess. That's interesting.
I'd have to imagine you'd be hard pressed to tell the difference between even a standard auxiliary jack and the optical. Now maybe the audiophiles can tell,
But also, like some games certainly are tuned, but not every game is tuned to, the audio fidelity of like a masterpiece. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
a lot of these games the audio files would be driven mad if they were to be driven mad at all by just some games. Some games are not going to have that audio engineering there, especially indie games. They're just going to be using stock sounds,
Right.
Like, there's stock sounds in Civ 6.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm hearing the same sound sometimes. I hear trucks start and stuff like that I've definitely heard in other things before. There's definitely going to be stock sounds. Like, I mean, unless those are tuned to perfection, but yeah, it'd be interesting it'd be interesting to know who uses optical. Like, I have a single optical cable somewhere that I've had once and I've never used it.
Well, Phil Spencer commented on this and he said, we also frankly know how many people use it today on the console. So we also kind of do the math and we have to put a part in every console that X% of people use. Is there a better place for us to spend that money if we can support it in different ways? So I just don't think there's enough people using it.
Yeah, honestly, I can't think of a single person other than you that uses optical, and you don't even use it to the console.
No.
And I want to know how Aaron's headset works now. It must be HDMI? Or maybe it goes to the out of the TV or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Out to the TV to a receiver, and then he has like I don't even know if they're wireless. I'm not even sure, to be honest.
But he was using it on the 360. Did the 360 still have like what are they called?
RCA jacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had some sort of apparatus with that. I know that, where you like take them, because you could just plug the yellow in, which is video, and then you could take the white and the red, and I think he plugged them both, or whatever, either it was one of them or both of them for stereo sound, and he put them into something.
Yeah.
I wonder if these manufacturers of these headsets were so forgiving, because maybe this is kind of what triggered my Bluetooth idea. I wonder if they're going to be going all Bluetooth. Like, again, I don't know whether the Xbox accepts a random Bluetooth headset. I know that the PlayStation doesn't. Even if it's a Sony one. Like, if mine was just a Sony Bluetooth headset, it didn't work.
Really?
I hooked it up. Like, I have earbuds in that, but I was using my actual Sony headset, not a PlayStation one. Hooked it up in Bluetooth. I believe the audio would work, but I was trying to get the microphone to work, because it has a microphone on it, and it wouldn't work.
That's kind of funny, because the PS3 did.
Yeah, it's weird. And so I'm wondering whether we took a step back, maybe Xbox did or didn't, I don't know. But we took a step back overall, and then maybe we're now going to be like, okay, hey, let's bring Bluetooth audio and in and out back.
You know what? I bought those PlayStation branded headphones.
Those were horrible, Ryan.
And I had to plug in a dongle.
That's right. That is right. I forgot about that. And you have limited USB ports on a PlayStation 4. Very limited.
Luckily, I had the PS4 Pro, which has one on the back, as well as two on the front.
It's still ridiculous. Like, what a weird thing to leave out. I mean, again, it's probably one of those things, right, where who's using that many USB ports? Like, there's probably going to be a USB port free. You know? Like, I think there's 2 on the back of my Xbox One and 1 on the side. I only use the one on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like a part they could have left out for me, and I would never have noticed. Like, if they don't work right now, they may have never worked, and I would never know, because I'm not going to use them.
Yeah. All right, Matt, that's all we got for this week. We were streaming on the Twitch, and we're doing some SimCity, and it's been great, so please join us over there at twitch.tv/day1patchmedia.
We had a record stream, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a record stream. No followers, unfortunately, but we had, I think it was like 24 unique streamers, which is huge for us. So that was pretty good.
It's I think the city builders / the strategy games might be a little niche we can carve out, maybe. And OBS was insanely easy to set up. Mm-hmm. Like, we even got like the nitpicky stuff set up.
Yeah, I remember trying to use it years ago, and it was really weird.
It's definitely come a long way, because I used to use it for Let's Plays, and it was a real pain. I remember I lost several of my files just not knowing where it was. Like, oh, I outputted it and it worked, but where is this Let's Play file?
Yeah. All right, we'll see you guys later.
It's weird not having the music, right?
Yeah.
Peace!